I really enjoy the show overall. And then being able to talk about this season is a delight. So thank you for doing this. Um, I was wondering as someone who took over the show, and I've taken over shows, I'm a set decorator also. Um, there's always this like obviously staying to the script, but there's always like I have to respect what was before me, but I
Yeah,
want to put my own spin on it.
yeah.
And did you find that with like Slug House and the park and everything, putting your own spin on things or keeping true?
Yeah, well, I think both really. You have to kind of make a seamless transition, and I think with a long running series like this, I think it's quite, the characters change in the Slough the sorry in the hub set, the big MI5 place. Different people take power at different times, and so we had to think about quite carefully what that meant because you know at the beginning, Diana's office, which Tom designed, was looking over that floor with the big screen. And then the first desk had an office somewhere else. And we had to work out where that first desk would be in relation to this working hub and where she's got eyes on the prize and she wants to be in that top position. And I wanted to bring that room above ground and then maybe above kind of, you know, looking out across the park. So here we are. She's underground. She's running the operations, but she wants to be the one making the decisions. And so she's been battling for years to get Whelan's
Yeah.
office to get um, to claim her place
Yeah.
basically. And so I kind of pitched it to the team, and I kind of said, it'd be really great if we make at that time it was in the third season. I think it was Sophie Okonedo who played First Desk,
Hmm.
and we, I said to them, I'd really like to propose that this is a part of the building which is above ground, and she's got an office which has a great view over the park and with the London skyline, and so that's what we kind of agreed to work towards, and they quite like that idea. So that's when we first see Sophie Okonedo looking out at the sunset when she's, in
Right.
trouble at the end of season three. So when Whelan takes over, we kind of, we shifted it around a little bit, and but kept the architecture and the quality of the space the same. And then with when now Kristen Scott Thomas is taking that possession of that space, it will change again.
Right.
The main hub itself, which we originally built as this floor and Taverner's office only, but with the walkways around it, has expanded a little in its genesis, because you're always needing arrivals, you're always
Right.
needing
Walk and
you
talks.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, walks and talks, and then there's connected areas that you need to kind of make it to car parks and various other sets, corridors, lifts, all of those. And what was interesting about this particular season that's just aired is that we actually had quite a lot of scheduled gymnastics to go through. And so it meant that trying to piece all those locations together, which had served in the first season when we first started as corridors, as atrium, reception areas, etc., as lift corridors, as staircases, we actually felt like we just had enough scenery that we wanted to kind of actually not patch it together, but create our world within
Yeah.
the studio environment so we could be much more efficient. And it worked. We managed to do it. And we used a lot of photographic backdrops,
Hmm.
and we had a lot of fun with that.
There's a lot of flow when they're walking and through those hallways and down in the interview rooms and then bringing them out into this big space. It's really nice. It's a nice, and such a view into the world. I mean, I think to be you keep seeing versions of things in films and everything, and we get to do research and that. Did you is there any like scout to MI5 ever? Was there ever?
No, there was no scout to MI5. I mean, it's all kind of conjecture and kind of invention. But when Tom was designing this set that we see on the screen now, I think it's quite interesting because he had a very particular idea of how he wanted to do it. And I have to say, I think he did really well because as you say, there are lots of these kind of, flaws that we see. There's always a kind of room with lots of screens and everything. And so I think this gave lots of opportunities. And because it's not a square room, it had interesting dynamics. And the focus on the ceiling was genius. I think he did a
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
good job there.
And getting the opportunity because there's, a floor above that looks
Yeah,
down on here, the opportunity to look up and
yeah,
to get that depth when they're looking up at people is really nice.
and across that walkway as well. I mean, there's
Yeah.
lots of opportunities there. Yeah.
Let me go back. I know am I saying it wrong? Slug House? Slug? Slug?
Slough House.
Flag House?
Slough House.
Listen, I watch most TV with the captions on, but this one I definitely watch with the captions on. Sometimes I'm like, wait, what? Because I want to know, but I'm kind of like, I don't know what he just said. I don't know what he just said, or I don't catch that reference, which I like because I like to learn all of it.
So,
Um, th this is such a living, you have such a living set here that has such grit and such character in itself, but
yeah.
always changing. How did that for season 5 go?
Well, it's a well loved and well used set, and it's kind of again it was built as a composite with so the rooms are stacked on top of each other, so you have that always have that ability to kind of be passing through the space or being able to see people from other places. And you know that incredible thing where you're left with a situation at the end of a season where there's been a shootout, and somebody's been
Right.
tied to the radiator and been shot, and then someone else has been shot in the hallway, means that you naturally have an opportunity to reinvent it for the next time you come back to it.
Right.
And because it's supposed to be that kind of the end of the road for all those failures that we call the slow horses, the rejects and the failures, we just felt that it would be really interesting to kind of clear clear it, give it a kind of not a makeover, but almost like somebody from um, the house services has said, okay, we've got Slough House, we've got all this furniture, we've moved out of the main hub offices, it's outdated, nobody likes it, let's shift it to Slough House. They need some repairs, it needs modernising, the electrics need updating.
Right.
And we made that decision to kind of make it look like the builders had arrived. And I don't know if this happens with you, but in this country, the builders often arrive, they'll put all of their equipment out and they'll leave it in the way. And then you don't see them for weeks because
Yeah.
they go start another
Yeah.
job.
Contractors. Yeah. Yeah. That's happens. That must be a universal thing.
It must be universal. So we kind of we quite like that idea, and it kind of worked for us. And I don't know how, you know, you tell me if it's successful. I think it's quite we had some fun with it.
Oh, I do. I think, I mean, as a decorator, I'm just looking the whole time and seeing like, what's going on here and drop cloths and, you have pieces of lumber in the back and ladders and everything
Yeah,
and a lot of plastic. So yeah,
yeah.
I think it definitely reads and, they're redoing and new walls and everything. It definitely reads that way. The plastic on the sofas is great too, which I'm sure sound hated, but like I think it was really, really funny and a good joke for furniture.
They were very, very gracious, the sound department. They
Good. There's one I couldn't grab it, but there's also like a bunch of floor lamps that are wrapped together that they keep walking by, which I thought was hysterical.
yeah,
Um, yeah.
yeah,
And I found this photo that we're looking at of it must be like a run through, and
yeah.
the whole crew is in the room, which we all do, and they stand to one side, and just looking at the room in that sense is like, oh yeah, It's all a set. It's crazy that we make these worlds and 30 people stand in them.
I know.
All these
And
poor actors
there's
do their
even more
job.
outside of the room, and then there's more on the other side of the landing. There's like, and I think for once I actually stood in the room when they were doing that, and it's strange. I just find sometimes I think I'm just a little bit superfluous at that point because I know what's going to happen, and I don't need to see how they're going to shoot it.
Yeah. Yeah. I always am there for run through and then I quickly run away because once they start tearing that room apart for camera, it breaks my heart.
I
And
know.
I don't I have such faith in my onset dressers to put it all back together the way we had it that, you know, I just don't want to see it being taken apart. It hurts my feelings.
No, and they have to change it around to make it work for them because
Yeah.
once five characters get in there, anything could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Moving chairs and it just, in bigger in other sets, you just want to make sure it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense when they pull like 5 chairs over or something, and
Yeah,
you're like, why did you do that?
yeah.
Why didn't you ask me? I would have helped out.
I was right there. You could have just
Yeah,
called me.
I'm right there. I mean, I'm leaving, but I'm like, oh, whatever you need, I'm right there. So how many stages do you have?
So when we were shooting from season 3 onwards, we actually had two stages. One had this set in it because this is all one composite set, Lamb's office with River's office below it. And then there's a separate room which is kind of the entrance corridor into Ho's office.
Hmm.
So, and again, that changed over the period, over a period of time.
Right.
We actually sneakily made it a little bit bigger because it was too small to shoot in.
Mhm.
And by seeing and every kind of revelation for the what's going to happen in this story seemed to take place in Ho's office. And so the team were just saying, geez, I can only do two angles in this room, and even if we cut holes in all the
Right.
walls, we can only do two angles. Can we kind of elongate it a bit more? So you will notice that changes over time. um and then, so we had this stage, we had another stage which was a similar size, which had the hub in it and space to build one or two little, seasonal sets. And then we had a big, an extra stage space, which was the sort of combined footprint of the two other stages.
Mm.
And that was quite a big one. And we managed to put, 5 or 6 sets in that one. That was the big set builds.
Did you overlap with seasons or like small prep times, or was it like, oh, it's like, oh, this show went down, we're off, and then we have 2 months prep or whatever?
No, it was running 2 seasons back to back in the same block.
Mm.
Uh, so we would have 6 episodes, and then the shoot crew would have a 6 week hiatus
And you
also,
guys would
or
keep going.
rather, not a hiatus, a break between shooting, so that they would have time to come on the tech recce's and do some prep for the next book. So there wasn't a great gap between ending principal photography on one season and then moving
Yeah.
to the next. So the art department and costume and everybody, locations, etc., had to overlap by about 6 weeks in
Mm.
order to fully prep with the next director. So, but because they were separate directors, it was quite easy to, not quite easy, but it was, it worked. But
Yeah.
it was exhausting. It was such a long shoot.
Yeah, that's a long, it gets exhausting and
Yeah.
your brain, mushes a little bit and fizzles out a little bit and you're like especially between seasons, you need to decompress a little bit. So that's hard. That's hard to do. But
Yeah.
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 Um the personal spaces that are in the house also is always great character dressing and everything. Who is the decorator on this season 5?
On this season 5, that would be Cam Lam
Yeah.
Man.
Okay. Because it's not, it doesn't say it, like I couldn't figure it out. And I gotta look at the credits. But
Oh,
um no, I think all the character pieces either in his like the apartments or the house and everything, they're so well done for the dressing of these characters. I mean by now, having some of these characters around for a long time, it's probably second nature. But did you switch it up at all? Like just little surprising elements or
Yeah, I mean, we did you know, obviously, yeah, we know the characters, and we kind of know which direction they're going in, and we kind of know, you know, with Will the writer, it was very easy to kind of get under the skin a little bit more than you might, you know,
that's
often get the opportunity to. But it was very, it seemed very straightforward to us to kind of, you know, build those layers in
yeah.
of you know, where the character is from. I mean, Roddy Ho, you can see he's like the biggest geek, and he's a, you know, he's got no idea about social kind of graces, or
Yeah.
you know, he's kind of, he's just somewhere in a different kind of universe, really. And we, you know, that started with Car in season 2, I think it was, the yellow, his blue underlit,
Oh,
the
right.
boy, yeah, yeah. And then we just kind of built on that really over the years, and I guess familiarity made it feel very natural to kind of
Yeah.
get to where we got to with him. But the fact that he's always kind of sneaking around and kind of like trying to rip off River's computer, thinking he's already dead, you know, when he's not dead at all, you know, it's quite, you know, it's that whole character has, you know, so many delusions about his own, you know, his own place in the world.
Yeah,
He was,
I really liked getting to see like his his apartment, his world more and like him out
yeah,
dating and him like it's
yeah,
a good character to like follow for a day.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of, it's a bit of a shame that it doesn't really go further into other characters. You know,
Yeah.
they've tried it, they tried it at various seasons, but you know, it became, you know, he's the only one that they've really kind of like showcased, and it would be, you know, you could easily extend it over a
Oh
few
yeah.
seasons to Lamb's backstory, or you know, all all of those characters. River, you kind of get a bit with his grandpa, but it's not really about River, it's about his grandpa, isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's as a viewer, you're just waiting for any tidbit about Lamb and
yeah, yeah,
those feet, and those like. So that was exciting. Season 5. There's a really good like
yeah,
little nugget of his back world, which I think I don't know that and like Kristen Scott Thomas's character, like those like if there were spin-offs of those characters' backstory, that would be fantastic. That's what I'm putting
yeah.
out there.
I mean, I was always fascinated by thinking of, because we did at one point, we did explore doing Lamb's home,
Mm.
and he wakes up one night on a squeaky old leather sofa, and then you know, you see him go to pick up the phone, and then he's out of the front door, and you never go back there. But it did feel like at one point we might have explored his backstory further and worked out what his relationship with, you know, all these people were. Diana Taverner, when maybe she was in the field, we don't know. You know,
Mm.
Cartwright, he was
Right.
definitely kind of running something when we went to France. You know, there's all those characters which could have, you know, the Berlin in the 60s, it could have all been really, really interesting. But, you know, there's
Interesting.
potential, I
Yeah,
suppose.
they could get to it. They're not slowing down these horses anytime soon, I think. So,
Not slow, that's for sure.
um, I really enjoyed, and I know it's a lot of work, a lot of the location work this season, and this like grittiness and texture that I don't feel you get to see a whole lot in like this reality of London as someone who's you know not seeing it every day. Um, I know that you have the Bepe's Cafe as your go-to place, but you got to really explore London this season. I feel like it's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Was there a lot? Well, you only had 6 weeks prep. Is it you only had 6 weeks prep for season 5?
No, we probably had longer than that. We probably
A
had
little long.
10 or
10.
12 weeks prep. But we you know, with all of these things, you're kind of, you're running parallel with everybody creating the schedule and actually refining the storyline and making it work with the so you're constantly looking for locations, scouting locations with director, reviewing how that works with the story, and then so we did spend a lot of time out there. And I think for this one, we actually ended up going to a lot of locations, wrecking them, and then thinking, actually, we need to do that in, we need to build that one because we're never gonna get there.
Hmm.
So, there and there are a lot of kind of composite kind of sets which we put together. So there's like, we're talking about the one with the paint pot falling on the guy's head. Is that
Oh
that's
yeah.
so so all of those venues which were for the political rallies were, two separate venues, then a series of little builds to make those work all
I think I
spliced
have that.
together.
I think I have that at this oh no. It was the podiums. The mayoral
Yeah,
debate. Yes,
yeah,
that's the one you're referring. Yes.
yeah.
I thought I had
And
it.
then and so it seemed to me like every set that we do, apart from the restaurant, which was a complete build, um, there's always an entrance. There's always a
This
um,
restaurant was a build?
that restaurant was a build.
Wow, it's gorgeous. So I found this article in the Londonist that tracks all of the locations this season, and they say, and I'm like, I'm looking specifically for this restaurant so I can like look it up. And then they're like, we're not sure where this restaurant is, so you fooled them. You fooled them on there. No, this is I love this restaurant. I was like, "Oh man, this is a good one." And I thought about it being a build because of your angles and everything, but it's fantastic. The colors are so great.
Oh, thank you. We did we actually it was because if
That's
you
a
want
big
to shoot for real in a London location, your scene needs to be quite short. Otherwise, you're never going to get that location for 2 hours or 3 hours at 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. I mean, how are we going to do it with five principal artists? It's almost impossible. So we actually went to a couple of locations. We decided that what was important was the walk and talk, was the lift, and then
Yeah.
how they were going to be arranged to have their kind of slow burn conference meeting with Lamb, where he actually doesn't want them to be there. So we knew what, and we very quickly put this thing together, and everybody was so excited to kind of get the underfloor lit working and to get the lift all kind of, with all those magic numbers and the lights and everything. So we had a great time doing that.
Oh, yeah.
We did photograph quite extensively from one of the London skyscrapers to get that panoramic view. And then my team stitched it together and printed a back cloth for it. So we made it up,
Oh, it's
really.
great. The elevator is just glass? Is that how you shot that and made that? Is that
Well, it's kind of mirrors and
it's
lots of light
mirrors?
and screens behind it to give us the numbers, and yeah. So
That's great because the elevator is like the back panel, the back wall of the elevator shows what floor you're going up. And they
that's right.
just keep going and going. And it's these beautiful teals and green, dark greens and everything. And just seeing the characters in there and it's reflecting all these numbers is really great. Really
Yeah.
great. Yeah. And then you brought the teal into the room and then some orange, a little bit of orange highlights. That's a big dress of that kitchen back there. Like, how long was this build and dress?
That long, really. I mean, the thing is we have we we we'd kind of. I mean, I'm trying to think of the process now. Um, because I've got a background in set builds, because I've done it for a long time. When I work with my art directors, we try and make it have impact without getting too bogged down in the detail. And so we try and use repeat elements. We try and kind of be efficient with the way that we design things so that you get the look without actually spending too much time and too much cash. I mean, the kitchen is all plastic panels of tiles.
Mm.
So really it wasn't that big a dress. It was, the lighting was something. The lighting is
Yeah,
always something. But
there's a lot of lighting.
yeah, and even if we'd been into a location,
Yeah.
we would have to adjust all the lighting. So, it makes sense to it made sense to make this as a set, really.
You might not know the burden of this, but did she have to buy, like, is there quantity there? That's one of the things we struggle with a lot
Mm.
here is quantity of things. So like most likely if I was doing this, I'd have to buy these chairs, where I definitely would have to make those you know,
Bonket
seats.
seats.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
is that they're making, yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
I mean, we did all of that. We made the bonket seats. I think this kind of contract furniture, you can buy it in runs, and then you can
yeah,
sell it on, or you can
yeah,
it it gets housed somewhere.
yeah, yeah.
And the ceiling panels with the reflective black gloss was something I really wanted to do, just to kind of give us something over their heads that was interesting. So
Are
um,
those mirrors? Are those?
there it's like a glossy black panel, but
Oh,
it's angled so that it kind of reflects
yeah.
in different different ways.
Oh my God. It's a gorgeous set.
Thank you.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Yes. And the different flooring and elements that you have in the bar and the when they walk in and yeah. Well, you've fooled more than me. It's just, there you go. And probably one of the nicest, classiest places these characters get to go, which is so great to put them in
Yeah.
this type of environment. So yeah, it's a great scene. Great scenes. Um, Now you also have so you wait, I went back. Hold on. There's this park, which I don't understand this photo because it was
Oh,
so this is the Abbotsfield Estate.
yeah.
Yes,
That's the opening section, isn't it?
that's the opening. So you go back there through in first and last episode, but do you have all your scripts? Do you have all six?
Yeah.
You do. So did you shoot this out?
Yeah.
You shoot it, yeah. So you don't go back.
But
That's
but this skyline is VFX into this actually doesn't exist in that location. So there
oh,
was a
I
little
see.
bit of compositing with that one. That whole Abbotsfield um, set, if you like, was a location with that kind of shopping precinct. So that
Yeah.
was one part of it. I think on that particular estate we had walkways and a little bit of driving, not very much actually. And then we went to another place to do the at the end of the show. There's the memorial service at the
Yeah.
multi centre. And that was another location, which was actually a school in North London.
Mm.
And we used a bit of the exterior there, but we built the bottom of the tower in that particular location. And
Oh.
then we built the top of the tower in the car park at the back lot.
Oh, wow. So you're building
And
all over.
when she goes up the stairs and finds the bullet,
Yeah.
she can see the relationship to or when she's in the square looking up, that's a VFX version of our tower. And then we made a composite of the tower through two physical builds that were not joined in the middle
Oh,
except
wow.
by VFX. So yeah,
Seamless. But seamless. You never
well,
knew.
I hope
I
so.
I bought it. Oh, I'm in. Um, you have you I mean in this show there's a lot of running and chasing and finding little corners for people to hide in and everything. Um, how did you come to select some of these locations in London that I'm sure are shootable, but also, lend to the action that you're trying to get?
So we I think Ho's flat had been established right at the beginning when Tom was designing, and we'd kind of chosen this particular estate, which was not very far from our production offices in the city. Um, and so we were very familiar with it, and we'd
Mm,
walked many times, and we'd walked around it, and we'd walked past it. We knew that his flat was somewhere in this complex, Um, and we kind of knew that these were, they're quite architecturally, they're quite interesting, and they're kind of built on two levels, so they're duplex apartments.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's all social housing. It's not kind of, although it's in a very desirable spot. Um, so we kind of knew that his apartment was there. We knew that it had really great kind of views, in and around through the walkways. The car park underneath was fantastic. The roads around that, all of those places. So we kind of got the story and got the location, and then kind of
Oh,
we
Bill.
massaged them enough to get them to work together. And we
Nice.
used and Ho's set, his bedroom and his lounge were two separate builds on low rostrums.
Mm.
And then we had to build a kind of a balcony set to do where the guy falls
Falls
over the
over.
railing. Yeah, so we had a composite VFX wire rig set.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about all of that, because you have to, it's a real location and you're using the cameras to follow this, cat and mouse sort of running and everything. And then the falling over, I was like, oh, I wonder how much they paid that guy to use his apartment. So it's always like, oh, they paid some money for that one. But oh, you built it instead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's impossible to do. I mean, we were on that estate for 5 nights anyway,
Oh,
so,
wow.
so that's a long run of night shooting. By which time people are getting really fed up with you. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. For
and we
5 nights, yeah.
we were causing absolute mayhem because we blocked both ends of that street, and then this street was also blocked with tech trucks and everything. So, people were just at the end of so it couldn't have gone much longer.
Oh God. Yeah, we interrupt lives, sorry to say. There is, and then at the end they end up, I have a question about this. If you guys have as much trouble as we do with graffiti,
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
yeah, I mean throughout London, I mean you see it, and throughout a lot of, I mean LA is packed with it.
yeah.
Um, is this your graffiti?
Well, interestingly, no,
No.
because we have actually re-graffitied over existing graffiti in lots of different locations that we've been through during this series, and it really depends on the time, um, and what we're shooting and how much you focus on it, whether the clearance company
Yeah,
are, what their reaction is. I think it's really hard with an action sequence like this to work out where you're actually going to end up shooting,
right.
because we were under, a 4-lane flyover road here, and every single inch of this place is graffitied. We did have some, um, that kind of very lightweight protective material you get, which is corrugated but it's kind of plastic. Do you
Yeah,
know the one?
the gator board or something, something. Yeah, is that it?
Call it Corex. It's like cardboard. It's ribbed, but it's a very lightweight plastic. But the locations teams put it down and they tape it to the floor,
Oh,
and
ram board. We have ram board here. It's kind of like a
they
cardboard.
something. We actually use that for our scenic artists, when they're, doing some kind of large scale artwork. And I realized that you could actually paint on the Corex. And
Oh,
so we prepared lots of Corex sheets with our own graffiti on it, which the standbys could use to just
throw up.
stand up,
Yeah,
just to kind of even just take the majority of it into a different kind of, to make it look slightly different. So we had little strategies like that which we used here and there.
yeah. It's a ridiculous thing that you can't see someone's graffiti, usually because they're afraid they're going to get sued by the artist, which is
Yeah, yeah.
crazy to me.
Although,
But
although when I watch because when you watch different content, you kind of think, hang on a minute, we had to cover all of that, and yet you guys haven't covered all of that. I wonder,
yeah.
you managed to get your lawyers to approve it, and our lawyers didn't want to.
Yeah, and it's you're right. It's different every studio, every production company. Some are really lax, some are really tight about it.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's it's kind of a waste of our time to like, do
well,
things like this, you know?
because also you end up shooting this particular location over one night or two nights, and you can't get in before 5 p.m. because,
Right.
it's a community space and the kids have to use it and da 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 da. And so what ends up happening is everybody does a day's work in the office, and then like everybody comes out at 5 p.m. So you
Yeah.
have like 25 people trying to kind of cover an
Yeah.
area the size of a football pitch, because you just need as many hands as you can get, really.
Yeah. It's and you're also correct. We don't work production hours.
No,
At
no,
least
no.
we work, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then if you have to open set, we have to open set and we get a later crew or whatever, but
Yeah.
we keep a different schedule because of vendors and pickups and working ahead and everything. How did you shoot one episode at a time but no, you were overlapping. You were block shooting everything.
For block shooting, we had to.
Yeah.
Um, and we kind of we would be out on the road for like 3 weeks while we picked up in the studio and tried to kind of prep the sets that were coming for the first block. Because over a 20-week shoot,
Yeah.
you can turn sets around. So, we would revamp sets, we would redecorate sets and reconfigure them into other sets as well. So we would do 3 weeks on location, come in, do maybe 10 days shoot in the guest set stage, and then maybe do go back out on the road for a couple of weeks and then come back in and do 3 weeks in Slough House, or
Oh.
5 days in the hub, and then by which time we've built another couple of sets in the other space. So there's this constant kind of turnaround, and it's quite hard because you've got kind of three art directors and three decorating teams, and yet you're not all in the same place at once because two of them are out at a distant location.
Yeah.
Some people are in the office, some people are, you know, it's just the logistics of it these
Yeah.
days is becoming really, really, challenging.
Yeah, because we're ahead of production, we're behind production cleaning up. And if you're lucky, you're a little bit more ahead and getting, scripts and sets and everything being able to do. Did you over your seasons of being there, do you have like a set that really like is your favorite or that you really enjoy designing and
Oh, I just think we were given such great material to work with. I mean, I think one of the seasons we built an underground historical kind of archive, which
oh yeah.
do you remember that
Three,
one in
three,
season three? I think it was.
three, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it was an underground storage facility, and that was just so much fun to invent, because we were never going to kind of go down into a bunker and find all these places and
Right.
stay for 3 weeks. So we found various tunnels and locations that we could kind of stitch together again with kind of, here's where we go in and we go down the tunnel, and then we end up at what becomes the loading bay, and that's the start of the composite set that we built on the stage. And then they're running around and they go through the water tunnel, and then they come up the
Right.
escape hatch, and then suddenly we're outside in the escape hatch, and then suddenly the escape hatch didn't work, so we have to rebuild it again in the car park to do the escape hatch again against blue. It's it's the same. We do it all the time, but it's that sort of thing's really good fun, because
Yeah.
you're kind of creating something which sort of exists in real life, but it doesn't. And I guess the thing about what I love about this show in particular is we would, you can really kind of create something which has that depth of texture, which
Yeah.
has that history, which has that backstory. And every set that we've done has sort of kind of been like that.
Yeah. The I think as a viewer not knowing the city as well, it's also such an exploration of day to day. I don't know how to say,
Yeah,
like the realism of it and the textures that you show and the grittiness and then the really pretty aspects of going up, a glass elevator and like things like that. It's just as a viewer, it's so interesting to see what's going on over there because I don't,
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
we had a moment. We had a moment on this season where we had to. At some point, we needed to find River when he's been sent off by Lamb.
Mm.
And originally, we were trying to. They. It was scripted as we go to River's house, and Co picks him up because he's been instructed by Lamb to go and get River and then go off to investigate. And we struggled for ages thinking, oh, now we've got to have another car that arrives at a location and then there's some connection with River inside the location. Oh my God, what's the inside of his location going to look like? We're only going to be there for like four seconds. What are we going to do? And Saul is very architecturally kind of aware. And he said, I think I'd like to use this particular location that we found under this kind of, again, another kind of railway kind of
Hmm.
platform, modernist kind of brutalist thing in the city with the view of the city behind. And he said, I want to put an outdoor gym here. And we kind of went, okay, we've got 5 days to invent an outdoor gym that River Cartwright can be climbing on.
Yeah.
And so we then furiously did a bit of research, found a company that could put this thing together and kind of went, yeah, we can do it. That's how much it's going to cost. And they went, yeah, yeah,
Yep,
let's
yep,
do it.
yep. Can't scare you with the money? Okay, cool. Let's do it. Okay.
So,
Sure.
and then so you kind of doing that kind of thing all the time. I mean, there are things that are well established that you know about that you can plan, but then you've always got these kind of curveballs that are coming at you that you've got to kind of. But that's where it's so cool, and you can be quite
Yeah.
inventive, and you can really kind of create some really stunning visuals, I
Oh
think.
yeah. There's some, I mean, freezing, the screens sometimes are so picturesque of just the nightlife of London or like, when he meets his girlfriend and they're at a long view and everything. Like it's so nice to see that atmosphere. And
Definitely.
yeah. And I just think great locations this
Yeah.
this season. It's such another character in the show. And even the tube you got down there. That wasn't a bit. Was that real or is there like a tube set somewhere?
No tube sets, and the tube station is notoriously difficult to actually film in because it's a public thoroughfare and you can't shut
Yeah.
it down. You can't, so you've got to work with, with the public being there while you shoot. So again, it's about planning and the military operation of, we've got to cover all these posters in these,
Yeah.
poster boards because we don't know where we're going to be and they're going to do it on Steadicam. So we need to cover absolutely everything in the tube station. Okay, that's great, but you're not allowed in until 1 hour before we shoot.
Yep. 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 Yep.
And
Yep.
call time's 11 p.m., so we got to all be there at 10 p.m. I mean, we did it, and it was fine. And sometimes you kind of think, well, why the hell did we go to all that effort? But if you don't, you can guarantee they will shoot
They will see
again.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they will see it. Yeah,
They will see that well. I mean, it's usually tight, but when they do that quick wide, you want your shit to be there. So you got to get it in there. And also, I mean, I've had like nightmares of like I didn't change out that one piece that was deep, and God forbid they change that scene tomorrow. Like I did I get an extra piece of artwork? Did I? So it haunts you. So yeah, you have
the
to do.
artwork is one of those things which has graphics has expanded a lot in recent years with all this clearance that we have to do, but
Yeah.
also finding good artwork is always a bit of a challenge too. I don't know if you have that problem.
Yeah. We have some great art prop houses here and, different styles and everything. They're, we're pretty good with art here, but there has been so much more weight put on graphics.
Yeah.
just signage, making your own signs, making your own band, like all of that. And a lot of times, specific art to the scene, I find is something that people are creating for me, and I'm getting, having my own graphic person in the art in the set deck department. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very much expanded, and mostly because of the fear in clearance. So yeah. So yeah. Oh. Um, I had great fun watching this, and just a fantastic season. So thank you so much for talking to me about it. I really appreciate it.